Welcome to Blood Work Reimagined. We're going to cover three things today, okay? The first one is, what does blood work tell us? The second one is creating a foundational protocol based upon what blood work tells us. And then the third one is, what is that missing piece that blood work doesn't tell us? And what's the solution? Okay. So as we're getting inside the chat box, I know a lot of individuals are on here. I'm grateful for it. Grateful for you guys attending live, especially turning on your cameras and joining me in the chat box. For those of you who are watching the replay, I know several of you are working in your practices right now. This is going to be so important because no matter how you want to implement this into your current world, there are multiple ways to do it, but it's going to not only help individuals, but it's going to help our businesses as well. And we all know 2025 has shifted a lot of things. And we have to pay attention to what AI is doing and how do we create businesses that AI cannot duplicate or replicate. Okay, so those of you who are live, get inside that chat box and let me know if you currently use blood work in your practice, whether you're virtual or brick and mortar or both. Just say yes or no if you currently use blood work all the time. Got a lot of yeses. Dr. Mukaya is starting to. Okay, second question is yes or no. Who was able to attend or watch the replay of Dr. Rewire's brain DNA test from last week? Just say yes or no. Okay, we got some no's in here. That's okay. This just gives me information on where I want to take this presentation today. So we're going to cover, because a lot of you are already utilizing blood work, which I kind of figured that way was the case. We're going to cover not what markers identify, but what we can learn from all of the blood work panels, regular blood work panels, and then taking that, how we combine it into a foundational protocol. Now, when I say foundational protocol, what does that mean to you? Does that mean you're going to implement it into one-on-one situations? Maybe you're thinking about doing something in addition to the one-on-one where it's a little bit more do-it-yourself kind of stuff. Maybe you've got chiropractic patients and you want to start implementing some functional blood work in there. There's a lot of different ways to use foundational protocols. And there's a lot of reasons why supplement companies have their own foundational protocol. That's one of their biggest sellers as supplement companies. Makes our job easy as clinicians. So let's get into what blood work does tell us. You guys excited? We're going to talk about what blood work does tell us, creating a foundational protocol, and the whole I've been trying to find answers to for the last year, year and a half, 2 years, because blood work tells us a lot, but there's a hole. And I've been trying to find a solution for it, and I'm going to share with you guys that solution as our part 3 today. Okay? All right, let me share. I'm going to just keep it very simple. I'm going to put my chat box over on the other screen. This is what happens when I moved away from my laptop that was touch screen. I now have the fancy setup, and we're using Google Drive documents. Okay? All right, you all know, or if you've been in my world, the CBC is worth the price of gold when you look at it from a foundational or functional perspective. So inside the CBC with differential, we learn 3 main components on what our body's health is doing. The first one is infections. Now, I like to do these low-grade infections with the neutrophil count, the lymphocytes, the monocytes, the eosinophils, and the basophils. Those can help us determine what type of infection is going on. The second component that the blood work tells us inside the CBC is methylation status. Okay, now we're going to get into this later, but methylation with THFR, the gene that helps determine if you're methylating. Now you can't utilize or can't test for this MTHFR gene in regular standard blood work. You can determine, however, if the body is utilizing these B vitamins. The third component you can find in the CBC with differential is the iron status. Now, I in chiropractic school got drilled on iron statuses with this CBC panel. If you could not identify a low iron status, you are going to struggle in our one phlebotomy class and our other blood work reading class. But they never, ever, ever mentioned the differential portion, and we very rarely addressed the methylation portion. Those three components are huge pieces of health statuses that we can determine with the regular CBC panel. Next, we're going to move on to the lovely metabolic panel. What can you determine using the metabolic panel? When it's a complete panel, which most of them are, we have blood sugar imbalances that we can determine. We have kidneys, liver, which is ultimately the detox system. We have the adrenals. You can identify that status of the adrenal glands with sodium and potassium markers. You can even look at tips around leaky gut with total protein and globulin intake. Okay, so if you look at this, you're already getting a big overview of what someone's health status is in a variety of locations. Infections, methylation, iron status, blood sugar imbalances, the detox system, the adrenals, our good old gut and leaky gut. Then we move over to the lipid panel. And with the lipid panel, we have two main components. We have inflammation and we have the cardiovascular system. Those are the main components of a lipid panel. We move next forward to the iron panel, the thyroid panel. And inside the thyroid panel, we're going to learn about the thyroid, of course. And if you take it a few steps farther, like I like to do, you can determine things about gut, inflammation, and liver. Moving right along, you got the iron panel. And of course, that's going to tell us our iron status. And that's if the doctor takes it or orders it. Then we are at hormones. And our hormone, of course, our hormone panel is going to leave us with the endocrine system. Okay. So looking at all these components that we can identify utilizing regular, good old standard blood work, just twisted in a foundational or a functional medicine way, you've got infections, methylation, iron status, blood sugar imbalances, kidneys and liver, which is ultimately, of course, the detox system, adrenals, leaky gut, inflammation, cardiovascular system, thyroid, iron, endocrine. Now, it's driving me crazy, especially the last year, because I can see what's happening with the trends. Now, the pharmaceutical industry has gone after metabolism. It's been destroyed, And after it got destroyed, what did they introduce to fix it all? Ozempic, which is a GLP-1. I'm not going to get into any of this. I just want you guys to see what's happening. Okay. Now they introduced Ozempic, and then a lot of the natural companies are trying to now go after natural resolutions or solutions for this GLP-1 mechanism. The pharmaceuticals next, I've been told this with a lot of research and a lot of conversations I've had, their next attack is on the brain. If you were to go back, and this is why I laid this all out, what system is missing? What organ is missing? Tell me in the chat box if you guys see it too. Endocrine status, inflammation. Now, do all these pieces impact the brain? Yes, but there's not an identifier for the nervous system and the brain. Would you guys agree? Tell me yes or no in the chat box. Would you agree? Regular blood work panels don't identify anything specifically regarding the brain and the nervous system. Okay, now tell me inside the chat box, how many of you work with clients who have brain type symptoms? Brain fog is the first thing that comes to mind. ADHD is another one. I think about, and I've been thinking about kids. I have a little 2-year-old, well, almost 2. I have a little girl who just turned 5, and I have an 8-year-old. And I watch as, the 1-year-old just crashed and bonked herself all right here, falling down the front stairs. My current 5-year-old, she had a major goose egg at 2 years old, running down Floor & Decor's aisle and fell. Immediate goose egg on her. I go to baseball practice, soccer practice. I drive down the parks and they've got football games going on. And how many kids are getting hit with head-to-head contact? And yet, none of our regular lab panels identify anything about the brain. And as a mom, I'm trying to figure out my own healthcare solutions for my own kids to protect their brains. And as a practitioner, I want to figure out how can I not only help other individuals' brains and nervous systems, how can I help them because they're going to be like me and they want to perform at a high level. We're talking about mothers experiencing real joy. We're talking about athletes experiencing elite performance. And as I think about it, athletes, they're very well trained on how to do the muscular system and how to build that. And yet their brains and their nervous system are an afterthought, if they even think about it. I think about elite entrepreneurs or CEOs or people in the workforce, high performers in the workforce who constantly just go, 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 go. They're looking very successful on paper, but yet their joy isn't there. Their burnout syndrome, if you want to call it that. And I think, how can I help these individuals? Ones that aren't necessarily sick, but ones who have and rely upon their brain and their nervous system every single day. That's been my mission the last year, is how do I combine the blood work with something that addresses this component we've never been able to address yet, the brain and the nervous system. So I want you to think about this. All of the blood work tells us important key findings from the shoulders down. What about the shoulders up? Are you guys intrigued? Like, is this like something where you're like, oh my gosh, yes, pulling up, specific test here. And before I get into this specific test, let's go back through and identify creating our foundational protocol. Now, our foundational protocol for addressing all of the components, which I love, because the more systematic you can get, the better off people are going to be, in my opinion. The more things that you can affect at the same time, because everything is correlated and integrated and working together. It's not like just the cardiovascular system or just the endocrine system or just the, oh my gosh, what's got gastro system. Okay? All of these pieces, they impact each other. And as I was looking through blood work, and I've seen thousands of blood work at labs at this point, I've also helped hundreds, if not thousands, of practitioners implement this into their practice. But I would look through them all and I remember I'd go through and I'd create this protocol for somebody and I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's such a good protocol. It's amazing. And then I would look at the next set of labs and then I would say to myself, wait, the same protocol I just created would work for the same person. Maybe I'm going to add on, one more extra supplement. Maybe they need a little bit more vitamin D. But from a foundational perspective, I could create a protocol, and I have many times before, a foundational type protocol that compiled all of these pieces in it because of what the standard blood work would tell me. Whether it be a 90-day protocol or a 6-month protocol, or you want to go all in with your clients at 12 months. Maybe you're a 2-year kind of person. You can take these components inside regular blood work and map out whatever supplement system you're using. Doesn't matter. I don't care about your supplement companies. You can use whatever one you want or whatever combination you want. But as long as you address these components, your foundational protocol will be stellar. Yep. Now, with a foundational protocol, you can implement these as like a do-it-yourself type of program. So we've got one chiropractor in our world who he's wanting to retire and just create something on the side. And he's like, I want to not just help my patients with chiropractic, but I want to implement some of this functional medicine components too. So he's created not one, but 2 sets of 90-day programs utilizing the blood work and creating his foundational protocol. So the first 90 days is one 3-month component. And then the second 90 days is the following 3-month component. And then he's taken it one step further for if people want to continue even more with a maintenance plan. And that's just totally a do-it-yourself kind of thing that people can go out and do it on their own. Now, the fun part is you're giving them something that's better than what they're going to already order on Amazon or wherever else they're getting their supplements and trying to piece things together on their own. So you can take those pieces of labs and implement a foundational program through it. Whether you're doing it as a DIY, maybe you want to create a group program, or maybe you just have that as a set core piece of your one-to-one treatment plans. And then as you're working with individuals, you can implement their personalized pieces as you go. I've done all 3 of them. Okay. And I finally found the solution. The piece that's like, oh, yes. Now We don't have to be on the aftermath of the pharmaceuticals offering Ozempic and GLP-1 solutions. We get to be at the forefront. We get to be leading the way with this brain stuff. Okay. Now, Dr. Rewire has a brain DNA test, and I've partnered with him on this. And if you were able to attend last week's training, and that's all about the business side of it, today I want to show you the actual lab test. Do you guys want to see this thing? Tell me yes in the chat box. Here's the deal. Um, I have seen a lot of tests. I'm one of those people that I get asked to partner with or affiliate with or sell this or promote this, whatever it is, and I very rarely actually do it. I've seen a handful of genetic tests that people have tried to put inside the marketplace, and I'm just like, that's not quite for me. Why? Because it's too doctorate. It's too PhD. It's too like, oh, I need to be a geneticist to understand this thing. Now, genes haven't always been my fascination. In fact, I really could have cared less about genes. So it's for me, it's not about the DNA itself. It's about what does the DNA tell us? That to me is more important than the actual DNA strips or the ATCG sequences. Okay, that's for the geneticists to care about. What I want to learn and what I care about is because of my genes, what does that mean for me? Now, the way this works is the exact same as MTHFR gene. Does your body have the ability to methylate B vitamins? It's just in this case, we're taking specific brain DNA genetics and we're correlating them to can you or can your patients create things like GABA, create things like serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. Okay. Those neurotransmitters um, not only affect the nervous system and how we function on a day-to-day basis, but they drastically affect everything that you see on blood work. So in my opinion, when we start from the shoulders up first, what I want to call and what Dr. Rewire wants to call the brain first healthcare approach. When we start with it first, and then we do the shoulders down. With all the rest of the blood work, we're getting a full and complete picture. Would you agree that if somebody's neurotransmitters were at a healthy level, that their hormones would be better? That their inflammation markers, their lipid panel, might be within the normal range? Maybe those neurotransmitters are so impactful that it just solves their brain fog cares. For me, this test isn't about solving symptoms. For me, this test is about performing at the elite level, whether it be athletes, whether it be moms, whether it be dads or grandmas. We want to not only be at our best, but we want to have joy in every stage. So if I can implement and if I can add to my patient care, my patient programs, a test that helps them perform and be at their best, whether it be you're working a 9 to 5 and you are dependent upon your brain for your engineering job, whether it be someone trying to advance up the career ladder and they're wanting to avoid burnout, they're going to go do the things anyways. We might as well feel good while we're doing the things. Okay. That's where this lab test came into play and my partnership with Dr. Rewire, because I don't want to just work with chronic illness. I want to work with people who are always wanting to be better and to improve themselves. Is that something you guys would be interested in too? Because I know chronic illness, although it can be our niche, it can be energy draining. Okay. When we combine the blood work and this lab test, we get a full and complete picture. And of course, there's the business side of things too, where you're going to attract patients. Because remember, the pharmaceutical attacked the metabolism and they offered Ozempic. You get to be on the forefront and helping people's brains and nervous systems before they launch something to solve the mass population problem. And maybe it's as simple as finding more joy in the daily. Maybe it's as simple as understanding, oh, I don't produce GABA, which means I can't calm down. And that's the case with this lab test I'm going to show you today. So if you're like a high-strung individual and you're just constantly go, 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 and maybe you've been warned or told that you need to slow things down and you're just like, I don't know how. One, that's me. Is it because I don't know how, or is it because my genetics aren't producing the GABA, which allows me to slow down and to rest and to not be always attacking that next level of success, that next level of athleticism, that next level of motherhood, whatever it be. Okay. So I want to give you a little bit of background regarding the health status of this specific patient whose labs we're going to look at, whose brain DNA test we're going to look at. Okay. So I asked her, I said, why did you take this test? I met her at a Chicago event and she's a gem. She's probably in her about 60, maybe around 60. Oh, look, now that I'm 56 and postmenopausal, so she's 56, has had major, major chronic illness problems her entire life, but she's also one of those high achievers where she's going to run her seven-figure paralegal business. And then in 2022, I think she explains in here where her health crashed and she lost her entire business and everything with it. So she struggled with the inadequate healthcare and explanations over my entire lifetime, she says. Trust me, I can share my experience and it's been a long one. Sugar was always elevated as a kid with GI problems. That's it, nothing else, or so they said. I've struggled with weight and severe allergies since early in the 70s and 80s, and nobody knew what to do with me. I had ear tubes, adenoids, tonsils taken out when I was 7, all the things. My doctor thought I might be allergic to dairy. However, he wasn't certain. This is, back in the 70s and 80s. My mother fed us the American supermarket diet. What they really didn't know back then was that I was 10 years old on allergy meds that didn't work. My depression and anxiety grew so strong it affected everything in my daily life, and I mean everything. My weight kept increasing. I've always been 30 to 40 pounds heavier than my peers. I gained weight after each childbirth and I couldn't lose it. I had 3 C-sections and each time my body hurt more. I stopped having kids when the doctor warned me I might not be able to survive the next time. In 2000, I had a serious car accident, a head-on collision, where I suffered a severe head concussion that impaired my vision for 6 months. I also had glass in my eye, 4 broken ribs, and I broke my nose twice because my son, who has autism and Asperger's. Whew! By the time I was 32, I had been through all of this, plus 2 divorces. I raised 2 kids with Asperger's, ADHD, and a daughter with ADD and depression alone. Um, Okay, so then she continues on. She had a stomach sleeve surgery in 2015, lost 75 pounds, but gained it all back quite quickly. And now she's 25 pounds heavier than when she was before she even started or had the gastric sleeve. She's tried every diet, but could never stick to one for very long. I've struggled with chronic pain since my accident. I used to see little to no results. Pain is usually what stops me. But again, she's the primary income holder and the owner and CEO of her paralegal business, or was. I'm not sure if she's still doing it or started something else again. But I mean, she feels like crap, and yet she's still doing all the things to look successful on paper. Okay. Um, all right. We could go on. She still goes on. My GI doctor officially diagnosed me with celiac disease this past week and a half. I take 50,000 units of vitamin D with only next to no improvement. I'm like, wait a second, 50,000 IUs of vitamin D? That's like my jam. That should do something. All my bone and blood tests came back normal. I use endocrine support. I take Acrufer every day for about 5 months now. I'm trying to take melatonin to help me sleep at night, but ultimately, my body is always in a state of stress. They even did a cortisol panel on me and it came back normal. All right. So that said, let's take a look at this brain DNA test, not specifically from her scenario, but from what this brain DNA test can unlock for not just her, but for anybody who wants to take it, including us who aren't necessarily sick, but we want to perform at our elite, at our best, and enjoy the journey. That's my biggest thing is like if I can just bring more joy to people's lives because of this test and the results it gives us, and then we can go into the blood work and dive into everything that's the shoulders and below. Like I'm so game. Are you guys game with me? Like, do you guys want to help bring more joy to this world? More joy to individuals? Nobody? You don't want to bring more joy? Yeah, like Eric, totally for sure. Like our own joy. You better believe I'm taking this test in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I want to know what my levels are at. I want to know how I can not just go through the day-to-day tasks, how I can be the best mom, the best wife, the best entrepreneur, the best person I can be, and joyful at it and love doing it. Because I feel like, and maybe this is just me, but even all of us on this call, what if we were able to show up at work knowing that we're producing GABA, or maybe we're not producing GABA and we need to supplement with it. Maybe we need to produce dopamine, right? These crucial neurotransmitters, it's the exact same way as MTHFR. Because of your genes, do you methylate or do you not? Because of your genes, do you produce GABA? Do you produce oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine? Okay. And then one of the other pieces that I love about this is, you know, I've never been a person for bandwagons, so I should just tell you that right now. I'm truly excited about this test and the combination of what it can do with not just the test, but anything else that you're doing inside your office. It's like the perfect additional component to it. Okay. Um, oh, I lost my train of thought. The the trends. So things like ice baths, things like intermittent fasting. You know, as us high level high performers, are we playing guilty because we're like, oh, we're not doing the intermittent fasting, or we're not taking our ketos, or we're not cold plunging, right? I was a college athlete. I've cold plunged enough times in my life. I don't need to ever do it again. But this test will actually help you and help your patients and your clients and even your friends and your family and yourself determine what state your nervous system is in. If you're in constant sympathetic state, you do not want to be implementing more sympathetic activities to your regimen. Things like cold plunging, right? Sarah, yes, we'll definitely get you access to last week's webinar, and we're doing it again next month. So if you want to watch the replay or join us next month, you certainly can, about the business side of this brain test. But I want to show you the brain test itself. Okay. Screens. Where's my screen? Right there. Okay. Now, the brain DNA test, we're going to specify as Dr. Rewires because, like I have experienced when I've been promoting and teaching and training this blood work component for the last several years, people will take what you've done and copy it. Okay. I've seen that happen on numerous occasions, in my world this last 6 to 12 months. And I just want you to know that that's what happens. So we're going to partner with him and this Dr. Rewire brain DNA test. So when you're talking about the brain DNA test, always refer to it as his and as you're partnering with him, because in the next few years, people will try copying it. I've had it happen to me, and it just happens to everybody who creates something that works very well. Okay, so just that's a legal caveat. Next thing is with this lab result, one of my favorite reasons when he showed me this, and I was like, I'm game. Like, I am all in. I want to combine this with blood work, and I want to go after, I want to help change the world, and I want to help bring more joy to people who are at any stage of life, not just, help them feel better from a health perspective. I want them to be more joyful in everything that they do. This lab test is written for the lay person to understand. That's why I was like, based upon all of the previous lab tests I've seen and been introduced to, I am all in on this one. Okay. So it goes through, again, he's talking about like achieving mental peak performance, not just utilizing it for the ill. Like, this is for anybody who wants to be at their best and feel at their best at all times. He's broken it down into 4 pillars, which is, again, another reason why I love it, because it's like, okay, well, here's this genetic snippet. Here's how it impacts my biology, my chemistry, my physiology. Why do I care? And that is the most important piece. Why do I care? Maybe you have a client, or maybe you have a son or a family member who's just not motivated. It might not be their problem, it might be their DNA. Maybe you, like myself, you can create relationships and connection, but then you outgrow them within a few years. What does that look like from a DNA perspective? And then this stress response. Are you in sympathetic? Are you in parasympathetic? How can you tailor your exercise regimen and your daily self-care techniques based upon your current stress response state? And if you wanted to make an entire niche off sleep and run this lab test and then utilize the brain or the blood work afterwards and correlate it to sleep and recovery. A lot of people in Dr. Rewire's world enter his world because they simply want to sleep and they want to wake up feeling rested. So that's what he's done, is he's taken the DNA and he's made it, correlated it to these 4 categories. And then the next step, he talks about how, a little bit of information about your DNA, not DNA, DNA. Okay. Now, like I said, this is not a result to practitioners. This is a result to the person who took this cheek swab, which is another reason why I like it. It's a cheek swab, so it's very friendly and easy to do, not like you're having to stab yourself or poke yourself to get to blood draw. But it's understandable for that person who wanted to take the test. Okay, maybe you've got some ADHD kids. Like she says in this email, I wish I had this test not only for me as a kid, but for my kids. As she had ADHD, Asperger's, and even one with depression. Okay, so again, a little bit about genetics. I'm not going to read through this with you. I just want to show you why I am so on board with our new patient program, with this and the blood work, and how you guys can combine it in whatever you're doing as well. So the mindset and motivation score. Now, like I said, this woman is going to do the things even though she feels like crap. Her motivation and her mindset is there. So that's high. Now here's your DNA strands. Here's the genotype. Here's what it means. Like I said, you can get into the genetic stuff. I don't really care about the genetic stuff personally. I care about, because of my genetics, what does this mean? You may occasionally lack motivation, focus, and energy. She tells me in here, and we'll get into this more, but her brain is scatterbrained. The typical ADHD, ADD diagnosis, what she learned is like, oh, I can just, supplement with Dr. Rewire's Balance D and 10 tricks, and that will help my brain focus rather than being on an ADHD med. Okay. He then gives insights on exercise, diet, sleep, work environment, and even some rewiring processes that he likes to do. And his rewiring processes are pretty crazy. It definitely got me out of my funk. The next phase is the relationships and connection. Okay. You may occasionally be insensitive and pessimistic based upon her genes. I am an optimist. I would be curious to see if my gene is the reason why I'm so optimistic. And I really, really have a hard time with pessimists. You're predisposed to slightly less sensitive oxytocin receptor. So kind of a little bit of doctor language right there, but enough lay people information that they can still get it. Then you've got the stress response. Okay, she's at 53%. She also learned that her body does not produce GABA. So she can supplement with GABA tricks and anything else she's doing, anything else that your clients are doing with you, add this little bit of a supplement and balancing out their neurotransmitters, their nervous system, might even make your adjustments hold longer. Like Dr. Rewire is a chiropractor by degree. He totally gets this. Okay. Last but not least, if you wanted to create an entire niche off of sleep and maybe athletes with recovery, this would be perfect for you. She's at 53%. One's in the red, meaning, again, she's not producing GABA. But then she's got serotonin and things like adrenaline and noradrenaline. So she's like, no wonders why I can never just feel calm. I can never, like, yoga's not a thing for her. Yoga's not a thing for me either. I'm getting better with meditation. Uh, but it's cool to see that your genetics have an insight to your personality, why you like things, why you don't like things, why you do things, why you don't do things. Yeah, so then it summarizes her brain score, motivation and mindset. Of course, she's going to power through things. Everything else is like right there in the middle. And then for her, regarding her results, would just be these 5 supplements. Okay. I don't know much about the supplements. I'm working my way into that. I do know that they are targeted specifically based upon this test and the neurotransmitters. So I will be using them in addition to other supplements, but I love them because they're targeted. They're not just a nervous system support. They're not just, whatever support kind of thing you're thinking of or you utilize in your office. And yes, they've got all the checks. They check all the boxes with sustainability and sourcing and all the things. And then it gives you a next step. So give your body a boost. Replenish your system with recommended supplements to support. Create your action plan. So you're going to then go back into this and she'll think, okay, I really want to focus on sleep. I go into the sleep category and I do those suggestions for the next 3 months. Okay, so this is the test. Now, when you take that test and you combine it with the blood work, you now have a complete puzzle. Would you agree? And it's just enough DNA to make it, intriguing from a geneticist perspective, but it's written in a way that's understandable. Like that you don't need to become a geneticist to understand it. Like, thank heavens. Right? Awesome. How many of you are starting to have juices flowing, ideas flowing about maybe a new program that you can offer or implement? Any new juices you've got flowing? Just Dr. Rob, Dr. Mukaya. Nicole's gonna put it all together. Nicole, I know you're a fast action taker too. Well, I've had some juices flowing the last several months too. When I first got this lab introduced to me, my brain's been going like, how can I implement it? What gets me excited? Who is the kind of person that I want to work with? Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of secret here. I've got three different audiences that I'm going to start working with, implementing not just this brain test, but teaching them how to read their own blood work and being there to join them in this group journey. Okay. I'm going to run some group programs. Now, that said, I'm awfully good at helping create programs and helping launch them. I want to help you guys do the same. So I am bringing back my most comprehensive and complete program and wanting to offer it to you guys at a screaming deal because we're celebrating my husband's 40th birthday. So it's going to be 40% off. Do I have your permission to tell you a little bit about this upgraded program? Okay, thank you. Now, like I mentioned earlier, when you do something that works, people copy it. And I've experienced that in my last 6 to 12 months of my life. So we've made it that much better. We're going to bring back an upgraded foundational blood work specialist program. This is a 4-month program, okay? And it's not just clinical anymore. It's clinical, it's business, and it's one-on-one with me. Why? Because I have found, and I've been working with one-on-one the last 3 months, I have found that we accomplished so much in a 3-hour time period together. We can create your program, we can create an entire launch strategy, and we can create all of the copy that you need to then go market it. We get so much done in a one-on-one scenario, and I love being able to craft these new options for you guys or mold it into what you're currently doing. Now, the beautiful thing is, every single one of you on this call already has an audience, whether it be current clients, whether it be past clients, or whether it be some type of social media or email. You already have somebody there listening who know, like, and trust you. So it's once you compile the program together, you can then go implement it and offer it to your current audience. So it's really quick and easy turnaround. Okay, so inside our 4-month foundational blood work specialist program, you're getting all of the blood work clinical training plus protocoling. You're getting all of the know-hows and twos to creating that business and growing it, whether it be this new virtual program, whether it be something you incorporate into your brick and mortar, or whether you utilize this like another chiropractor is as their retirement plan. Okay, there's multiple ways to use it. And with our one-on-one support, I'm going to dial that in with you and help you. You're going to be working with me on creating this strategy. And then last but not least, like I said, I'm launching this new program to 3 different audiences. I will hand you what I have created on a platter. So if you would like to utilize my own programs as yours and then tweak the marketing based upon the way you want to speak to your specific niche and audience, you can go for it inside our 4-month foundational bloodwork specialist program. Okay. Now, as we launch this new cohort, the cohort is going to close June 5th. It's typically a $6,500 investment. But until June 5th, you get the 40% off because it was Andrew's 40th birthday yesterday. So it's only $3,900, and we do have payment options available if you would like to choose them. Okay. So we got a week. Let's get the best cohort we've ever had. And if I see a lot of you who are on this, who have currently done it, if you're like in on this cohort with these new platforms and this new offering, upgraded pieces, we got an option for you too. So all you have to do is book a call with Trisha. Go to foundationalmedinstitute.com/chat. Okay, it's never going to be 40% off again because this is the most loaded program we have ever had. Clinical, business, one-on-one, and program done for you because you can take mine and utilize it as yours. And we get to go into this world guns a-blazing before the pharmaceutical industry gets to it. And we help heal people's brains so they can have more joy, even if it starts with us. And I promise you, I will be taking this test in the next 4 weeks, because I want to find my own DNA, heal my own neurotransmitters so I can find joy and more fulfillment in the day-to-day life. And I would be honored to have you guys join me on this journey as we go forth and create this huge movement. Who's with me? All right, foundationalmedinstitute.com/chat. Our cohort closes June 5th. All right. The clinical, the business, the one-on-one, my brain program. And I'm not even going to drop the name of it yet. I'm going to drop the name of my new brain program in the next week or so. So pay attention. Maybe 2 weeks. All right, guys. Thanks for attending. If you're watching the replay, thanks for watching the replay. If you need anything, especially if getting into this brain test, like book a call with Trisha. We'll get you connected with all the pieces. And like I said, we're going to be back doing it again next month with Dr. Rewire, because this is a momentum, a movement we want in on. And I'd be honored to help you go deeper and branch out even greater. Joy to the world it is. All right, guys. See ya.